Narcissists are used to winning. They know how to twist the truth, control the story, and get inside someone's head. But when they meet an INFJ, everything changes. INFJs are built differently. Their mind sees through masks. Their heart feels what's real. And when the two come together, the narcissist's game starts falling apart. The INFJ might not look like a threat. They're calm, quiet, kind. But behind that soft surface is one of the sharpest, most intuitive minds you'll ever meet. And that's exactly what narcissists can't handle. INFJs don't play along. They notice things others miss. And they don't need to fight to win, they just stay grounded in truth. This video breaks down 6 reasons why INFJs are a narcissist's worst nightmare. 6 parts of the INFJ mind and heart that make it nearly impossible for narcissists to take control. These aren't just defenses, they're strengths. And once an INFJ sees what's really going on, there's no going back. If you've ever been in a relationship, a family, or a friendship with a narcissist, you know how confusing it can be. One moment they're charming, the next they're cruel. You question your memory, your feelings, your reality. But not the INFJ, not for long. They might feel the same confusion at first, but something inside them pushes back. Their gut, their values, their sense that something isn't right. Over time, the INFJ becomes clearer, stronger. They start seeing patterns. They stop making excuses. And eventually, they do what narcissists fear most. They leave. Not with anger. With silence. With peace. With no more fuel for the fire. Let's look at the 6 reasons why INFJs make narcissists uncomfortable, and why they're often the only ones who walk away with their power intact. Reason number 1. Trusting their intuition over manipulation attempts. The biggest weapon a narcissist has is manipulation. They twist words. They shift blame. They change the story until you doubt your own memory. But INFJs are wired to sense things that don't add up. They feel when the energy is wrong. They pick up on details others ignore. That's where their intuition comes in, and it's the reason most narcissists can't get very far with them. At first, the INFJ may seem like an easy target. They're thoughtful. They're emotionally open. They want to understand people. Narcissists love that kind of opening. They see someone kind and assume they can take advantage of them. So they try. They use flattery. They rush connection. They tell stories that make them look like a victim or a hero. But something doesn't sit right with the INFJ. They don't always know what it is. They just feel it. It's not logic, it's a sense. A subtle tension in tone. A story that changes slightly every time it's told. A compliment that feels more like bait than praise. Their mind starts connecting the dots. This is where the INFJ's real power begins. Because they trust that feeling. Even if they don't have proof, they know when something is wrong. And once that gut feeling kicks in, it's hard to shake. They start paying more attention. They ask quiet questions. They take mental notes. That's the first crack in the narcissist's plan. They're not used to being seen. Really seen. And INFJs don't just see through people, they feel through them. That means the lies don't stick. The manipulation doesn't land. The control slips away before it ever really starts. Some INFJs may give the narcissist a chance. They may want to believe the best, but their inner voice won't go quiet. It keeps reminding them, this doesn't feel right, and eventually, that voice gets louder than any charm the narcissist can throw at them. By the time the narcissist realizes they're losing control, it's too late. The INFJ already knows. And they've already started pulling away, not with drama, but with certainty. They've seen the pattern. They've felt the shift. And they're choosing something better. That's what makes INFJs so dangerous to narcissists. Not because they fight back, but because they don't fall in. Their mind is tuned to truth. Their gut won't let them ignore it. And once they see what's really happening, they're done. Reason number 2, boundaries that narcissists can't cross. One of the hardest lessons for INFJs is learning how to set boundaries. But once they do, those boundaries become iron walls. And for narcissists, that's a problem, because they thrive on pushing limits. They want full access to your time, your energy, your emotions. But INFJs, especially when they've grown into themselves, don't allow it. At first, INFJs may hesitate. They don't like hurting others. They try to see the good. They give chances. But every time a narcissist crosses a line, the INFJ takes note. And eventually, something changes. The INFJ stops explaining, stops arguing, stops allowing their kindness to be used as a weakness. That's when the walls go up, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Narcissists hate this. They rely on people not having boundaries, on people being too afraid to say no. But INFJs, once they've seen through the manipulation, don't just say no, they mean it. And they don't back down. They don't yell. They don't debate. They just close the door and walk away. This makes narcissists panic. They're used to power, control, drama. They expect to trigger a reaction. But INFJs give them silence, space, distance. That's not just a boundary, it's a complete shutdown of their supply. These boundaries aren't just emotional. They're physical, mental, spiritual. The INFJ no longer shares their thoughts. They stop explaining their choices. They create a space the narcissist can't enter. And that space protects everything the INFJ holds dear. What makes these boundaries powerful is that they're quiet but firm. The INFJ doesn't ask for permission. They don't need approval. They have seen enough to know what they deserve and what they will no longer allow. And once that boundary is in place, there's no turning back. No second chance. No opening. The narcissist is out. And the INFJ is finally free. Reason number 3, deep emotional awareness that defeats gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the narcissist's favorite tools. They twist the truth, deny facts, and make you question your memory. The goal is control. If they can make you doubt yourself, they can steer the whole relationship. But INFJs have something that makes gaslighting incredibly difficult: emotional awareness. INFJs don't just feel emotions. They study them. They reflect on what they feel, why they feel it, and where those feelings lead. That inner connection becomes a kind of emotional anchor. It keeps them grounded even when someone tries to shake their reality. When a narcissist tries to rewrite the past, an INFJ might feel confused at first. But something doesn't sit right. They remember how they felt. They remember the emotional truth, even if the details are fuzzy. And they trust that truth more than someone's denial. That's what gaslighting can't destroy in an INFJ: their emotional memory. Narcissists say, "You're too sensitive." INFJs think, "I feel something's wrong, and that means something." Narcissists say, "That never happened." INFJs say, "Maybe not the way you say it, but I know how I felt." This self-trust makes gaslighting ineffective. While others might spiral, INFJs slow down. They pull back. They journal. They reflect. And through that process, they reconnect with what's real. They may not argue right away, but they don't give in either. They hold on to their emotional clarity. This awareness also helps them recognize patterns. When the same type of confusion shows up over and over, they start asking deeper questions. They look at the overall behavior, not just the moment. And slowly, they build a picture of what's really happening. By the time a narcissist realizes they can't rewrite the INFJ's story, it's already too late. The INFJ has seen behind the mask. And once they see it, they can't unsee it. Emotional awareness isn't weakness, it's strength. And for INFJs, it's one of the strongest defenses against psychological games. Reason number 4, reflective growth makes INFJs hard targets. Narcissists are always looking for people they can control. People who don't fully know themselves. People who question their worth. But INFJs are always growing, always evolving. And that personal growth is one of the reasons narcissists can't get a grip on them. INFJs reflect constantly. After every challenge, every conflict, they ask, "What did I learn?" They don't stay stuck in blame or pain. They use it. They dig into it. They transform it into something new. That habit of self-reflection creates emotional strength. At the start, this might make them vulnerable. INFJs often try to understand the narcissist. They may give more chances than they should. But each experience becomes a lesson. Each betrayal adds to their understanding. And that means narcissists don't get to play the same trick twice. As INFJs grow, they stop needing validation from outside. They stop over-explaining. They stop fixing people who don't want to be fixed. Their attention shifts inward, toward truth, peace, and growth. This change is what narcissists fear most, because they need control. And a person who knows themselves, who likes themselves, is impossible to control. Mature INFJs are calm, centered, and aware. They know what they want. They know what they will and won't allow. They don't fall for guilt, art, love bombing, or emotional tricks. And they don't try to change people who've shown them who they are. This kind of growth turns the INFJ into a mirror. A narcissist sees themselves reflected, and they don't like what they see. Because the INFJ doesn't fight or flatter. They just observe. And in that silence, the narcissist loses their power. Growth is protection. And INFJs, more than most, are built to grow. That's what makes them such a hard target and such a powerful force. Reason number 5, empathy used as insight, not weakness. One of the biggest mistakes narcissists make is thinking empathy is weakness. They assume that if someone cares, they're easy to control. That if someone feels deeply, they'll forgive anything. But INFJs flip that script. Their empathy doesn't make them blind, it makes them sharp. INFJs feel everything. The joy, the pain, the tension in a room. But they don't just feel for others. They understand why those feelings exist. They trace emotions back to intention. They listen between the lines. That turns empathy into insight. When a narcissist tries to gain sympathy with a sad story, the INFJ may feel compassion, but they also ask questions. What's this person really trying to get? What's behind this emotional appeal? Their mind doesn't shut off when their heart opens. It works harder. This makes manipulation harder. The narcissist expects the INFJ to give endlessly, but the INFJ gives with awareness. They notice when care turns into control, when helping turns into enabling, and they know when it's time to pull back. Empathy also helps INFJs see the narcissist's patterns. They sense the fear behind the rage, the insecurity behind the bragging, and instead of being fooled, they observe. They connect the dots. And once the pattern is clear, they make a quiet exit. This kind of empathy is different. It's not about saving people. It's about seeing them clearly and deciding what to do next. INFJs can love deeply, but they also love wisely. They know when someone is using their kindness. And when that moment comes, they don't explode. They step back. With grace. With strength. With no drama, just truth. Empathy is not surrender. For INFJs, it's strategy. and that makes it one of the hardest things for narcissists to manipulate. Reason number 6, silent withdrawal that shuts down narcissist supply. Narcissists need attention like air. They feed off reactions, whether it's praise, fear, confusion, or anger. That's called narcissistic supply. And when they don't get it, they start to lose control. INFJs know this, and they use something that narcissists can't handle: silent withdrawal. At first, the INFJ might give the narcissist a chance. They might respond to arguments. They might try to explain or understand. But when they realize they're being used or manipulated, something inside them switches off. Not with rage, with clarity. That clarity leads to distance. The INFJ begins to detach emotionally. They stop responding to drama. They stop giving energy to endless game. And they do it without warning. One day, the narcissist just notices the INFJ isn't feeding the fire anymore. That silence is unbearable for the narcissist. They're used to provoking reactions. They count on emotional responses to stay in control. But INFJs don't play that game. Once they've seen the truth, they don't need a fight. They just walk away. This kind of withdrawal is more powerful than yelling. It says, "You no longer have access to me," and it hits hard. Because narcissists crave attention even more than love. And the INFJ's silence becomes the ultimate rejection. Even if the INFJ doesn't leave right away, their inner distance is already set. They might still be in the room, but their energy is gone. Their emotional doors are closed. And the narcissist feels that loss deeply. What makes this so effective is how calm it is. The INFJ doesn't need to explain. They don't need to prove anything. Their absence speaks louder than any words. It cuts off the narcissist's supply completely. This withdrawal isn't cold, it's protective. INFJs know when enough is enough. And when they go quiet, they're not punishing, they're freeing themselves. That silence is peace. And for the narcissist, it's the end. INFJs are often underestimated. They're quiet, reflective, kind. But underneath that gentle surface is a mind that sees through masks and a heart that won't be fooled for long. That's why narcissists, who depend on confusion and control, can't win with them. We've seen 6 reasons why INFJs are a narcissist's worst nightmare. Their intuition picks up the truth early. Their boundaries are firm and final. Their emotional awareness blocks gaslighting. Their growth turns pain into power. Their empathy isn't a weakness, it's a lens. And their silence, it's the move that ends the game. INFJs don't win through confrontation. They win through clarity. They don't need to destroy a narcissist, they simply refuse to feed them. And that quiet refusal is what makes them so dangerous to those who try to manipulate. If you're an INFJ, or you think you might be, know this: your strength is in your calm, your intelligence, your ability to walk away without needing revenge. You don't just survive narcissists, you outgrow them. And if you've ever done that, if you've walked away from someone who tried to control you, let this video remind you, it wasn't weakness, it was power. So, which of these 6 strengths do you see in yourself? Let us know. And keep standing in your truth. Because the strongest move you can make is no longer playing their game.